Buff Nation, what is going on, guys? Hope you guys got some rest after that thriller, that heartbreaker last night. But wanted to come on and give some more of my thoughts on last night's game. Especially, man, we had a lot of people in the comments last night. Sorry I didn't get to highlighting those, but just want to again say thank you so much for coming in on the post game. It's never fun to come in after a loss, but really do appreciate all you guys. And yeah, I got a lot of things to talk about. Of course, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Shout out to All Access Sports Media saying tough loss, but they got to clean up some things and move forward. Absolutely. And what I'll get to is that there were a lot of mistakes. We didn't execute our best game. Definitely from a tackling perspective or play calling perspective, I think on both sides of the ball. But what's great is that I think a lot of what we need to correct and fix before we go to Tucson next week is completely in our control. No doubt about it. So, but before I get started, guys, it would be really appreciated if you guys have time, if you can just like, oh shoot, that's not what I wanted to to link. You can just go in the description of my YouTube video and follow my Facebook page, guys. I'm at 88 followers. I just need to hit 100 and then I can start live streaming over there as well. And then I'll shut up about it forever. Um, but yeah, like, here's the thing, tough loss. We got to clean some things up and move forward. Zero run game. And yeah, I'll kind of get to some of the things that I was thinking on this morning, hearing what you guys had to say, hearing what Twitter had to say, hearing what other people, analysis guys on in the media had to say. Here's the thing: I think a lot of people wanted to talk about the run game. We can get to that. Run game was difficult. We didn't see ourselves kind of run out of a lot of different sets. I feel like we were mainly running out of shotgun. And again, what I feel like we've done so well in the last three games is really finding that hot hand from the running back, somebody who can make the most out of what the offensive line is giving them. At some points, that's been Isaiah Augustive. At other points, it's been Micah Welsh. We've seen Dallin Hayden knock off some nice runs against UCF. But at the end of the day, like I think given those first couple drives, didn't see much from Dallin Hayden. I felt like he didn't have his best game when it came from a vision perspective. And I think that that's a learning that hopefully our staff takes into this next week is just, hey, you give a guy a couple of drives. If they're not seeing it, put another guy in there. We got a lot of talented running backs, and it was just it was just a little unfortunate that we didn't get to see guys like Michael Welsh or Isaiah Augustive get touches really throughout this game. I don't think Michael Welsh, while he was out there running some routes and in some different situations, he never got one carry in the game. I don't think Isaiah Augustive got his first carry until maybe it was the beginning of the fourth quarter or the end of the third quarter. That was difficult. We weren't running out of different sets like we have done in the past. And I think that that's something that I think that we just kind of let Kansas State dictate the terms of play a little bit more than obviously what we have done in the last three games. No doubt about it. Hey, Coach Barry. Let's go, baby. Becoming an official member of David Talks Buffs. The fellas love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. Let me know if you got any questions or specific comments. When you're a member, man, I make sure that I highlight what you got to say a little bit more often. So I'll keep an eye out for you guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, the big thing, yeah, let's talk about Shiloh, man. Shiloh was awful last night. He was terrible, taking really bad angles to the ball, running into, our own guys. He got juked out of his socks a couple times there by DJ Giddens. That was really rough. I think that Shiloh was, if I remember correctly, was rated the worst defender by PFF in last night's game with like a grade. I think it was 27.8 or 28.7. Either way, that's an extremely low grade. Coach Prime had comments for him in the press conference after the game, saying that he was horrible and he was bad. Um, I thought that with Shiloh coming back in, that could really help, and maybe not more so help, but just even improve our run defense that more. But this wasn't just a Shiloh issue, but Shiloh, he's one of the leaders of the team. Like you expect to see him help set the tone, but a lot of our DBs, man, and a lot of just kind of arm tackling, going after the ball, trying to strip the ball rather than going for the guy's legs, solid tackles right at the hip. I saw that from our entire secondary. As a whole, we didn't tackle well, all 11 guys as a unit. That was really rough. But yeah, I think if Shiloh is having a bad game, he needs to be held accountable just like anybody else, right? Does Carter Stoutmeyer, having him in this game, is that enough to where we get this win? I don't know, but it would have been nice to see more of him in this game when you're seeing Shiloh looking rusty, looking bad, taking terrible angles to the ball. And of course, hindsight's going to be 2020 on something like that. But yeah, I just think it's funny, man. Throughout the whole off season, I hear Carter isn't that good. Carter isn't that good. Whatever, through the start of the season, Carter isn't that great, man. He's ass. Where are all the Carter Stoutmeyer's ass people? Because all I heard last night and this morning in post game is just how Carter Stoutmeyer is just so much better than Shiloh now. Man, you guys switch up real quick. I want to see Shiloh have a bounce back game against Arizona. I think that we've seen him play much better than what we saw him play last night. And let's see a better rotation between the three of them with Shiloh, Carter Stoutmeyer. Well, I guess between the two of them. In terms of bounce back games, I thought the offensive line played. I thought they played fine. I saw that PFF had credited 4 out of the 6 sacks to Shedeur, and while I haven't watched the replay of the game yet, just going through the game, I felt as if a lot of those sacks and pressures were because of Shedeur. And I'm not excusing the offensive line. I'm not saying that they were amazing. I'm not saying that they were great, but I thought they were fine, more than fine. I didn't think that this was close at all to some of the worst performances that we've seen from our line this year in terms of pass pro. Definitely, there's some room for improvement, no doubt, in the run game, but we also gave up on the run game very, very quickly after we got into a deficit. Let's get to running again out of pistol a little bit. That seems to be our bread and butter when we're struggling, going to that a little bit. Let's switch up the running back, give a guy a different look. I did feel like there were holes opening up there in the first and second quarter that Dallin Hayden just wasn't taking advantage of. So, we're gonna have to see. But I think the biggest thing, and yeah, like negative 29 rushing yards is nasty work. Yeah, like we didn't stick with it. We didn't stick with it once we got into a deficit, and I think more of those pressures. It kind of seemed as the game went on, there were some more pressures, and that's going to happen when it's like the threat of the run isn't even there. I can't even remember if we had a run longer than like 5 yards. I'm trying to remember. That wasn't like from Shedeur scrambling, but of course Shedeur minus 50 rushing yards. That takes into account the sacks, and I think that again, you live with that. I think that is by far his biggest glaring weakness, because he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses in his game, but he was terrible, I thought, in this past game from a pocket presence perspective, and he didn't do the offense and line any favors with some of those weak drops and drifting back into pressure, rolling into pressure. Um, it just goes to show how great of a player he is and how special of a player is. Like even with that, still able to throw for over 400 with some of his second string wide receivers and putting us up with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left. You know, uh, we lost this game because we didn't play close to our potential, in my opinion. We let Kansas State kind of dictate the terms of play, and that was on both offense and defense. Like I just said, with the play calling, the lack of switching up running back personnel, and then of course, like the tackling was what was just terrible. We can, how much does a tackle cost? That's what was going through my head the entire game yesterday. Is that we were just terrible, terrible at tackling. Um, and hold on, let me get to this message here really quick. Okay. Yeah, and this is something to where we've seen ourselves be a lot better at tackling and in other games throughout this 3-game win streak, and that's something that I expect to see us bounce back from. No doubt about it. We've shown our ability to be a better team than that, and that's just something that we're gonna have to bounce back from. But I don't think there's any shame in this loss. I think it's very frustrating because I think that there are some things in our control that we just didn't execute to where we win this game if we just do a couple things really, a little bit better, and we handle a couple different game situations just a little bit better. But this isn't an issue like with last year's offensive line. There was just going to be no fixing it. We saw that line get worse as time went on. Uh, some areas, like on the defensive line, it's just a total talent issue. Total talent issue. We just didn't have the guys. I really do feel like we have the guys to win a lot of games this year. You told me before the season we'd enter the 7th game of the season going 4-2. I take that every single time. And again, with this loss, we didn't quit. We didn't give up, even though we weren't playing our best ball. And we lost two of our best players, Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn, and we were right there with the chance to get a wonderful comeback victory there at the end of the game, and it just wasn't enough. Now I will say that the PI call at the end of the game, like that was horrible. That was textbook PI on that fourth and whatever it was. Um, and it sucks. It's frustrating. College officials suck. Now I do feel like the Big 12 officials are better than the Pac officials, but that was a blatant PI. They got that one wrong. I don't agree with the broadcast that it was uncatchable. I thought it totally was. But you can't put the game in the hands of the ref to make a decision. We had plenty of opportunities to go and win this game without that play, without needing that flag thrown. It's just unfortunate. And if you let a team hang around enough, sometimes those things happen, which was unfortunate. But I don't think there's any shame in losing this game by 3. We did cover the spread, funny enough. And Kansas State's a very well coached football team. I didn't think that Avery Johnson was a trash quarterback, and sometimes you just got to give credit to the opponent. Where at that end of the game, I understand like the frustration of not seeing a prevent defense there at the end of the game on that final drive from KSU. Again, hindsight is 2020. I think if I've kind of gone back and forth of if I was okay with the defense that Robert Livingston was calling at the end of that game. I think if you just drop guys back, one thing that we were really struggling with, guys, was open field tackling, was bringing guys down. Um, so I think if we were kind of dropping 7 or 8 back, I really would see KSU just driving down the field chunk by chunk. They had plenty of time. We were being terrible at tackling. So the fact that Robert Livingston wanted to bring pressure in those situations, you're not just going to bring pressure and then be able to have a bunch of guys back there and prevent. Maybe not necessarily having press. I can understand that. But if you're going to bring pressure and force Avery Johnson to make a quick decision, I'm totally okay with that. He just made a couple dime throws at the end of the game. And Preston Hodge, man, he just got beat. And we talked about that going up against Cocaine Willie, or talking about the Cocaine Willie podcast when I was on there on Tuesday. Is just, we give up some plays in man coverage, but that's just what we live with, um, because we want to go get pressure. And usually that defense kind of holds up in the red zone, which it didn't really in this game. KSU was very good in the red zone. And for us being one of the best red zone defenses in the country, we did not have our best game at all when it came to that sort of defense. But it's always kind of hindsight 2020. I hear a lot of people always complain about, I hate prevent defense. You got to get pressure. Well, if you're gonna go and get pressure, you're gonna be playing some man coverage. So at the end of the day, our defense, we called our defense that I think serves the strength of this unit, but not to say at the end of the game that there isn't some huge significant drawbacks on some one-on-one coverage like that. You saw what happens when that goes wrong. Levante Bentley was right in Avery Johnson's face on that last throw. And again, you just got to give credit to Avery Johnson. I said coming into this game, you'd want to put the ball in his hands to make plays down the stretch. I feel much better about that than having the ball in the hands of DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards. And I mean, that was what I had wished for. But that's why he's regarded as a very good young quarterback. And it sucks to see that team really turn the corner with the road performances against us. Oh man, it sucks. But sometimes, man, you just got to give credit to him making plays. And I would put him in that situation a lot coming into the game. And again, he just made a couple really great throws. Coach Barry, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Really, really does mean a lot. Thank you again for supporting the channel. Hey, Dave, my head hurt this morning. Tough loss. Yes, man, I was so tired. So tired. I slept in till past 11 today. Take nothing from KSU, but 4 wide receivers got hurt. Omarion, broken leg. Travis, shoulder. I think that might be a dislocated shoulder. Jimmy, ankle. Yeah. Why am I Terrell Timmons? Yeah. I don't know what he hurt either. Dan Hayes still out. Yes, hopefully Dan Hayes is back this week. We're going to need him. We really struggled this week, kind of holding the edge, especially on that Avery Johnson touchdown run. We had a blitz coming from the right side, and I think it might have been Ard Walker there that failed to hold that outside contained and allowed Avery Johnson to get outside. That's why I was much more worried about Avery Johnson running the ball as opposed to KJ Jefferson, just because of how much more dynamic of an athlete Avery Johnson is. He's got great speed, really got outside well. And but it was great to see other guys step up. Omarion step up, Draylon Miller step up in the receiving game. I know Terrell Timmons had a nice couple catches as well, or one catch. It's unfortunate, man. And this is truly a gut check time for us going into this game against Arizona. Again, we should take this matchup coming up against them personally for a few reasons. One, because they beat us in our house last year. We need to go beat them in their house. They scheduled us as their homecoming game, I believe. So we need to take that personally. And on a quarterback note, I think there are a lot of people that said no, Fafita was better than Shedeur, or on par with Shedeur coming in to the season. And I just never bought that. And we need to go out and prove that we truly got the better quarterback, right? And we got the better team. I thought that Arizona has been overrated throughout this entire season, but this game gets a lot harder this week without Travis Hunter. No doubt, because you can put Travis Hunter on Tet McMillan and live with that. Who's going to guard Tet McMillan? How are we going to do that? Is it going to be a lot of Colton Hood, DJ McKinney? Probably. Hopefully, not a lot of Preston Hodge on Ted McMillan, our shorter cornerback out of all three of those guys. Um, I'm not too worried about what we got at the wide receiver position, even with injuries. If we got a week to prepare, that's great. Hopefully, we can get Jimmy back. But Will Shepard, LeJontay Wester, those guys are a great first two guys. Uh, yeah, again, hopefully Jimmy comes back, and might we see some more Draylon Miller? Might we see some Cordell Russell finally? How about a guy that some of y'all were mentioning this morning on the Discord, Jordan Onavue, a guy from modern day that I've been very intrigued by. Sometimes I forget that he's on the team because of all the names that we got, but this guy's a tank. This guy's a tank, and if Travis is out, let's see him get some run. We got plenty of athletes at wide receiver. I'm not worried about this offense, even without Travis. I think we can still put up a really good performance against Arizona. The biggest question mark now is how is our defense going to respond without Travis Hunter? He makes playing defense so much easier with the guys that we got. You can call a different game with him on the field, which is what I think we saw. You can't exactly call the same game with him off the field. That is what becomes difficult. So, yeah, it's gut check time. Our depth is going to be tested. Our coaching staff is going to be tested. Let's get a little bit more creative to deal with Ted McMillan and Noah Fafita, no doubt about it. But thank you again so much, Coach Barry, for the $10 super. I really do appreciate it. Again, this was a dogfight yesterday. Both teams got really banged up. Now, I think we got kind of the worst luck out of the injury stuff, and I'm going to pin that on a couple things, guys. These injuries. Number one, Kevin Durant, man. Kevin Durant. It's no coincidence that this guy's on the sideline at games, and then we're all going down with injuries, man. That guy embodies soft. I hated seeing him on the sideline. And for somebody that was getting on Nuggets fans for liking Nikola Jokic in the Olympics, saying, "Where are you from?" KD, where are you from, man? You're not from Colorado. What are you doing on the sidelines? He's nothing but a hypocrite. KD, you cursed us. You cursed us. Also, Coach Prime shaving the beard. I just noticed that. Didn't pick up on that this week, but if you got something going for you during a winning streak, man, you don't change it. You don't change it. The beard looks so good on him. I like Coach Prime with that beard much more than a clean shaven face. I think he looks tougher. And I just, in Colorado, beards everybody wears a beard, man. If you can grow a beard, you'll wear a beard in Colorado. What the heck? What the heck? That's just kind of how I feel about it, man. Yeah, and I agree, man. Like Carter Stoutmeyer, I think he would have had some better angles to some of those runs by DJ Giddens. Again, DJ Giddens wasn't being tackled like one on one by anybody, I guess. So again, hindsight is 2020. Throughout Shiloh's time, I thought that he's been a really good tackler for us. But again, in this game, you can't deny it. He was terrible. He was terrible, and we're going to need a bounce back performance against Arizona, and I think he can give that to us. But yeah, a lot of people crashing out. Like I during the comments in the live stream yesterday, man, yeah, y'all were ruthless, and I understand like post game rage, like I totally understand that. But this was one where again, 4-2 right now. This was a very tough test. Preseason, I had us going down to Kansas State in this game, and that's they're a very well coached football team. They don't beat themselves. They don't get a lot of penalties. They don't turn the ball over. And we didn't play near our best, um, you know, level of play that we put out earlier this season, right? And we were within 3 points. There were a handful of things that just went the wrong way. Taking sacks in field goal range, throwing interceptions in field goal range, giving up big plays at the end of the day, giving up 3rd and 14, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8 all the time, letting this run heavy offense just run all over us. there are a lot of things that lost this game for us, but it is in reach. All these things are completely within our control. And with how we saw this team bounce back after what truly was an embarrassment against Nebraska, I have no doubt that coming out of this dogfight in a game in which I have no form of shame or embarrassment from this sort of loss, with the game that they played, the resilience, the fight that they showed, even though they didn't play their best and they didn't coach their best. I got no doubt that we're going to see a good performance bounce back this week against Arizona. That's one of the things that I'm most excited to see about this team again, is how they bounce back from disappointment, how they bounce back from a loss. And I think that we can see that this team is made of different stuff than what we saw in 2023. Coach Barry saying, I don't blame Shiloh, but he did come back not game ready. And I knew that and said it 1,000 times. I also can't fault only being our D line was bad and our O line struggled to stop the rush. Yeah, and that's something that we really do have to get better, is stopping those twists, those stunts. KSU rightfully did a lot of that, and it did create pressure. We need to do better at getting the ball out early. And again, I think some of those drives could have been served well by, hey, if the offensive line gets beat, sometimes, man, Shedeur just needs to get out of that play, man. Move on. Throw that ball away, step up, throw it within the vicinity of the receiver, something like that. But when he was trying to throw things away, he was trying to escape first, make a play on his legs, and then it ended up in intentional grounding or like a sack of like minus 15 yards. While he does have the ability and our offense can come back from that, it's like playing with fire. You only want to be doing that a certain amount of times in the game, right? Or else it's going to come back to haunt you. Yeah, yeah. But this was Shadeur's got to be better. The defense got to be better. The play calling's got to be better. Again, I'm not excusing the offensive line. They got to be better too. But I think if anybody is saying that this game is on the offensive line, I think that that's pretty casual. I thought that they played pretty well. And like overall, we just got away from what we've done, the commitment to the run game. You saw how, with us getting out of that, how the pass rush from KSU really started to move forward better in the second half. And that's because they could kind of pin their ears back and get after us. There was no threat of the run game. When the heck was Coach Lothholt thinking with 3 minutes left in KSU on the 20-yard line? Why not keep the backfield covered? Oh, are you talking about Livingston instead? Yeah, again, that one's a tough one for me because, again, I thought we were ass in open field tackling throughout this whole game. And again, I think you give yourself the best chance against Avery Johnson before those passes with putting pressure on him. And that's what he did. And he just made some incredible throws. He made some incredible throws. So maybe you could have changed up the look a little bit, maybe not press, right? Yeah. I didn't hate the call at the end of the game. But I understand people's issues with it. I didn't love it either. I just kind of feel meh about it. Yeah, and this is kind of how I felt too, Coach Barry, about Dallin. If you watch him, he's doing too much thinking when he gets the ball on the start. He has to go immediately and just hit the holes quick. Yeah, he'd be too slow. And I did just feel like we were way too late in substituting another runner. Again, if he's not providing you good looks on those first couple drives, you got to get somebody else in there and see how they're going to hit the holes. And We gave him way too long of a leash. I think we gave Shiloh way too long of a leash today, or last night as well. And I think, those things, they didn't help us in getting out of our rut. Hey, Dave, no excuses, but I feel like the refs were not on our side. Definitely at the end of the game, I'll give you that. I didn't really have too many qualms with the officiating. I'm trying to think of some other calls that I was like, what the heck on? I can't think of any right now. I do think that there were some missed holding calls in the run game on KSU. I don't think maybe they had one holding penalty on them called. And, uh, but it just sucks because I just think that if we had still tried to run the ball throughout the game, maybe we would have been given the benefit of the doubt on, our offensive line doing some of those things as well. I thought they called it pretty even for the most part, but at the end of the game, that penalty was absolutely inexcusable. You would think at home you would get that call, but it just sucks. It just sucks. Oh man, thank you again, Coach Barry. Really, really do appreciate the $10 super chat. Thank you again so much. And guys, if you really do want to help support the channel, it would really mean a lot if you go to the description of my video, follow on Facebook. I'm at 88 followers. Once I hit 100, I can live stream on there, and then I'll never mention it again. But just wanting to get my platform in a place to where I can stream over there as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Takes 5 seconds of your time. Coach Barry, I got a question. Our strength coach, look at all the players sidelined games: Chidoze, Hayes, Benson, Shiloh, Jimmy, Travis, Omarion, Terrell. What happened to some yoga exercises for some flexibility? Maybe. I think that at the end of the day, I feel like we've stayed generally healthy. But man, football's just a violent sport, man. I don't feel like, and this was an issue that I've had with Broncos training staffs over the years, but Sean Payton has brought in a new strength training, and we've seen a lot of the quads, the hamstring issues, like all of that, like completely go away over the last year and a half with the team. And I think in nutrition, like personalized nutrition plans for every single guy, it would be great if we could get to that level at CU. I don't know if we do that right now, but I think a lot of these things, uh, they're not hamstring type of things. They're like legitimate, like shoulder issues, or like Travis Hunter, it's a shoulder dislocation. Omarion's a broken ankle or a broken leg. Like I don't know if yoga is having much of an impact on those sorts of things. Shiloh was a broken bone. Again, Jimmy was an ankle sprain. So, I mean, I'll let you athletes talk about if you feel like yoga helps prevent ankle sprains. But a lot of what I'm seeing right here, and I don't know Terrell's injury, but a lot of stuff here, it just seems like it's not soft tissue injury, which is what I think yoga can really help with. So I think some of this is just football's a violent sport, and no matter what team you have, your depth is going to be tested every single season. And it just sucks to see guys get broken bones, man. Yeah, I don't really know what the spleen injury was with Avery Johnson. I mean, that could have just been like it seemed like he just tweaked something in his back. Maybe his back kind of locked up, and they must have massaged him or whatever to get him in the right place. I'm sure he was still in pain playing, but again, Avery Johnson was fantastic yesterday. He embodied leadership, toughness, and composure. But yeah, like I don't. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know if yoga is like helping prevent the broken bones or anything like that. Hello, you haven't had a winning season in 2 decades. Jacqueline, this is false. We did go 4-3 in 2020, and we did go 10-2 in 2016. But yes, I could see this team having a 10-2 season with a bowl game. Yeah, no doubt. I think that Kansas State, with how we're looking at the rest of the conference right now, while there are no gimmies on the schedule, no doubt about it, there also aren't. We're not playing a top 5 ranked team in the country or anything like that. I think we're lucky right now on the schedule. Funny enough, didn't think this coming into preseason, but we don't have Iowa State and we don't have BYU, which are the toughest, highest ranked teams in the conference right now. So KSU, I think, was a good test to kind of see where we're at. It was a statement game for us. I think that we made a statement in showing we don't suck. Like, we definitely don't suck. Like, we're a quality football team. We're a good football team. And I think that you could see us totally win out, throughout this season. I feel great about where we're at, and we still have a lot to prove. But every single game right now, with how this team is playing, is totally winnable. We're going to be in every conference game. And that's what I was saying after that UCF game was like, I can get behind. Like, I love cheering for a team like this that even in I feel like even in losses moving forward, that's what I was saying. Like, they're going to be in it. They're going to show toughness and resilience, and that's what they did last night. So no shame in their performance, but there is a lot of things that we need to correct, and that I think are in our control for getting us to that bowl game, and still, depending on how the rest of the conference goes, putting ourselves in a position to be in that Big 12 championship. But we definitely probably need to win out or close to win out to put ourselves in that position, no doubt about it. All right, just getting to a few more comments, then I'm going to wrap this thing up, guys. Just trying to, yeah, Don Juan coming in here. I honestly expected Avery to be more one-dimensional, like a faster version of KJ Jefferson. His arm surprised me a bit. I hadn't watched K-State too much. Yeah. And uh, yeah, like, he's definitely got better arm talent than KJ Jefferson. And um, I mean, he was just fantastic yesterday. That's all I really got to say. But man, I'll say this, man. I think sometimes, man, all Dion says is give Shedeur some time. Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I don't know if you're saying this deal's wholesale, but I will say I think a lot of people just get frustrated with what Coach Prime says or doesn't say in press conferences. Man, who really cares? Who really cares? You're not going to throw your coaches under the bus. You're not going to, and I think he's learned from throwing his players under the bus, like what we saw against Stanford or against UCLA, where he just said, "You just go and get better guys next year." That was not helpful for helping the team stay together. Like, that was not helpful. He's done a much better job, I feel like, of just coach speak, and that's what he did last night. It there is no benefit for him saying, coming out and questioning Robert Livingston or Pat Shurmur after a game. Like, that's just what you don't do. All that stuff's going to be handled in house, no doubt about it. They didn't have their best games, no doubt about it. And but I think people make way too big of a deal his comments post game. Who cares? Who cares? Just say all the generic stuff, which is what he does, and that's totally fine. But yeah, we should be in every single game, but we can't overlook any of these opponents. No, 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 no. We cannot. This Arizona game just got a little bit harder, but I still expect us to go in there and win. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But we are a good football team. We're going to be in every game moving forward. Our depth is going to be tested as the weeks come. Hopefully, Travis Hunter can get on the field sooner rather than later. I think the biggest gut shot for me is, depending if he misses time, it could affect his Heisman campaign, which is just devastating. I really want to see him win that award so bad. So hopefully he can suit up, this week against Arizona. We'll just have to see. But guys, I'm going to get out of here. Again, thank you so much for your time, for your support. Let's see how this team bounces back to Arizona. 4-2 halfway in. Telling me that preseason would have taken it every time, because I did pick our Buffs to go 8-4. So let's continue to win some games and exceed that. So, yes, Keck, I gave you a shout out yesterday. Let's freaking go. Kenny Dillingham on the field, partying with the fans. Classic moment. Congratulations to you. He's a great coach. Y'all have a great day. I will be back tomorrow. As always, y'all, go Buffs.